This is your host, Tia. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Top 10. Live. Geek Vibes Nation. Geek Vibes Nation. The Top 10. The Top 10. And hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Top 10 by Geek Vibes Nation. I'm your host, Tia, as always, and I have with me the amazing Brittany. How you doing this morning, Brittany?
I feel great, especially when you do that. It makes me think of, like, you know, at circuses where they announce the person, and I'm like, yes. No, not encore. I was like, do the bow, you know?
The bow. I always do think of myself a bit of a ringleader, so that is actually a very good metaphor.
I hear you.
Exactly.
You know what? You're going to end up on my list for this.
I'm going to end up on your list. Oh, God. The list that Brittany is talking about is we are doing this morning the top 10 most hated characters in movies and TV shows. Because, Brittany, you know, some weeks I pick the subject, some weeks Brittany picks the subjects, and I was like, Brittany, I don't really know what to do for this week. I don't really feel like using my brain juice to even figure it out. What should we do? And Brittany's like, we've been kind of salty the past few days, so why don't we just vent and talk about hated characters? And I was like, you know what, Brittany, you right. You so right.
You see, that's my secret. I'm always right.
Oh, all right. Brittany's one of those people that's very competitive, and she has to be right and poke it in your face. But that's why we love her, and that's what makes her a fantastic Twitcher.
Twitcher!
Is that a triggered word for you?
I'm done.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm excited to do this podcast this morning. Skype was giving us a little bit of issues this morning, and I was like, they better not F with my freaking podcast. I will have to speak to the manager.
Oh my God. Sorry, I just thought about what we just talked about right before doing this.
Oh man, but it's a beautiful day out, so I don't want to keep anyone too long on our podcast. What am I kidding? Like, ever since I don't know if you've noticed, Brittany, but ever since we've started using Skype instead of Blog Talk, we've been going over the 2-hour mark.
Oh, I know, girl. I know.
I had this one person, so our last week, we did, like, current suggested shows, right? And someone, commented underneath the tweet going, can you just tell me what they were? I don't have time to listen to a 2-hour podcast. And I'm like, that's why you listen to it in intervals. There's no excuse. Listen to our podcast.
So aggressive. Like I said, you're going to end up on my list, Tia.
That's the mood that we're in today. But before we dive into this list, of course, I want to give a huge shout out to the Main Damie, because they are just an amazing family of podcasts, and they asked that we promote their podcast Stranger Damie. So I'm just going to, as always, read off the little blurb here because they explain it a lot better than I would be able to explain it. So, Stranger Damies is the ongoing real play D&D podcast from the Main Damie family of podcasts. Make sure you join them every Wednesday as the wild stallions traverse the many traps and tribulations that Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition has to throw in their path. There's elves, weird half-dragon people, conspiracies to uncover, and of course more references to the 1980s than Ready Player One. Subscribe to the podcast on all podcast services by searching Stranger Damies, and make sure you follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Stranger Damies. Stranger Damies is also a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation. You can find us at geekvibesnation.com. I have to say that if they were writing this, it would be perfect for SEO purposes, considering they have Stranger Jamie so many times in the blurb. I'm like, that is just a excellent way to promote yourself. But I don't think that Main Damie put any podcasts out this week in, solidarity of George Floyd and everything that's going on in the world right now. And I believe that is the same for us and the same for another podcast of ours, Scene and Nerd. So, but next week should kind of transition back into our regularly scheduled program. So you can find all of that at geek5snation.com and, of course, our Twitter, Facebook, and all that good stuff. So, Brittany, without further ado, because let's just get right into this frickin' list this week. Let's hear your number 10 for our top 10 most hated characters in movies and TV shows.
I think I sitting there. This one's gonna make you laugh. I'm gonna go with Bella Swan.
Who?
Bella Swan from
Oh God, from Twilight.
Yes. I knew that one would get you. My thing is that me and Tia, Tia is still at the writing machine. I'm not quite the writing machine I used to be, but writing stories, and it's kind of like for me, even like I've tried to grow out of it, but she. Bella Swan came from the book first, from Twilight. And she's so, like, Mary Sue. She is, like, the hashtag not like other girl kind of girl who ends up just being, like, it's like a person wrote the most Mary Sue character that they could do and made Bella. Because, she lives in Florida, but somehow she grew, she's somehow super pale, and, she just doesn't like the sunlight, and, she just doesn't like this. And then she moves to, I can't remember the name of the place, where it's cold and rainy all the time, and it's never sunny, yet somehow she still misses the sun, even though she talks about not, I don't know. And somehow, like, she's plain Jane, but, like, I'm trying to think of the word to describe this, but like she's like super socially awkward, but still ends up like everybody wants to sleep with her, everybody wants to be her, but she's just like described as like being mousy, and somehow like she smells so good to the main vampire of the entire series. But not only is she like super into by the vampire, the werewolf Jacob, and they have this whole love triangle where she's just leading them on basically this entire time. I don't know. I guess it's like, I don't know if it's particularly her or just the writing and then seeing it as the movie. And I know the actress got a lot of hate when she cheated on, what's his face? Oh, what's his name?
Robert Pattinson.
Yes. So that was like another involvement of people like hating the character, like more of like the real life aspect of it. But I guess too is the entire time she even gets like, I guess like she's a bad role model too, like because a lot of like girls were like looking up to her because they love the book so much. Where there's a point where she's like so heartbroken because Edward leaves because he's he has to stay away from her and they needed to move on and more of a keeper. So she tries to kill herself. She like throws herself off a cliff, if I remember correctly. Like it was very dramatic. Like okay, I get high school, but I don't think that's particularly something you should be showing to your young viewers, that's how she reacted to her boyfriend in high school, leaving her, throwing herself off a cliff and trying to drown herself. I don't know. It was very intense, very odd. The character herself I found very uninteresting. I found myself more involved. She was more of a mouthpiece to the other more interesting characters in the movie.
So I never read Twilight. I've never seen the books. I never seen the movies. But like, you cannot have not known about Twilight. I mean, I was probably a freshman in college when the movies were really big, right? And it was a phenomenon, Brittany. You had girls walking around with shirts, Team Edward, Team Jacob, you know. You had all of this stuff, right, where it was all Twilight all the time. And so you couldn't not know about it, right? I did watch, not read, wow, watch, the tongue-tied today. Just like you texted me going, I'm tongue-tied, and I'm like, yeah, me too, apparently. But freaking, I think I read the first 5 pages of the book, and I always say this when I reference Twilight, so I apologize for sounding like a broken record. But as soon as she was like, I'm half albino, I shut the book, because I'm like, that's ridiculous. You're just a pale bitch who doesn't like the sun. Like,
I'm just trying to figure out if she, like, actually meant it, because there's no such thing as half albino.
You're either full of, and albinos don't have brown hair, right? Like, albino,
Yeah.
you would be, like, truly albino, right? You're just really pale. Like, just say, I'm really pale. Like, I went through a freaking emo, not an emo, I went through a goth phase when I was a teenager, and I didn't like going to the beach because I was like, I don't want to tan, right? Just say that. I did look up. She moved from Arizona to Washington.
Arizona, my bad.
Now, I've never been to Arizona. I've never been to Washington. But I do know that Arizona is really freaking hot. So you must have just stayed in all the time, Bella. But I have read 50 Shades of Grey, and considering it was a fan fiction of Twilight, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on Bella. I would say yes, that she is definitely hated because, as you said, she was a terrible role model for young girls who are make up the majority of the demographic who are reading Twilight. I remember, again, when Twilight first came out, that there were all these memes online where it was like, don't be Bella, be Buffy. Right, and I never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I know like people are going to be like, oh my god, but you know, it's just like the sense of like role models for young women. You have on one hand a girl who pines over a guy who's never going to return her affection, and the fact that she, you know, he's so controlling and she kind of sinks so much into herself, and then, as you said, even tries to kill herself, as opposed to Buffy, who has a man who, you know, appreciates her for being the badass, kick-ass woman that she is, and she can fight her own battles instead of waiting for Prince Charming to sweep her off her feet. You know, it's like, hello, we're in the 21st century. Can we stop with these really outdated characters? Sorry, go ahead.
It's always I guess it's like, especially, like, I know it's been focusing more on the book, but like, it's fast that, it's, like, it started to change a lot as, you know, growing up and stuff, and I haven't read in a long time. I used to always read a book, and every descriptor of the main girl, like, it's fine for the main character to be attractive. It's fine for them to like basic shit. It's fine for them to just be a normal person, but they always have to be described as like mousy, you know, unassuming, you know, oh, plain. And I'm like, dude, your plain is making you seem basic. You seem real basic.
You know, it reminds me of, did you ever, please tell me you did you ever watch Not Another Teen Movie?
Yes.
Okay. So remember how the main character was like, she's so unfortunate looking, blah, blah, blah. And in reality, she was like really pretty. She wore glasses and just like kept her hair in a ponytail. And they were like, we need to transform her. And literally the extent of her transformation was taking the glasses off and taking her hair down. And that's how I always feel when it comes to like Bella or characters like, it's like, they're really unfortunate. It's like, no, they're not. They just wear like, you know, basic clothes and hunch a little, and it's like, oh, look at her, she's so unfortunate, you know. That's how I feel, because that's how they describe Anastasia, or Anastasia, I don't know how you pronounce her, from 50 Shades of Grey. That's how they describe, oh, she's so mousy, but yet they get Dakota Johnson, who is a very pretty girl, to play the character. It's like, no. You know,
like, it reminds, you know, it was a really good transformation. The Princess Diary. Or Diary's
Yes.
Diary. Like,
With
where
Anne Hathaway.
yes, me and Mom used to watch that movie a million times. And I mean, she had the frazzled hair. I think she had braces. She had the glasses. She had the huge uniform. And not saying like because she was still attractive. That's another thing. It's like she was still attractive and all of that. But the transformation was much more dramatic, more than just I'll take off your glasses, put your hair
Well,
down.
my mom, her one of her best friends, Jean, who unfortunately passed away, I want to say about 8 years ago or so, but they were very good friends, and me and her daughter grew up together, so we spent a lot of time as children together. Jean loved Anne Hathaway. She said that she felt that she was like the prime example of what a respectable young woman should be.
Oh my gosh, she loved her.
She loved Anne Hathaway. I loved that movie though. But yeah, so I agree. Bella Swan, like fuck her. Oh god, I hated that time
Or
in
don't, as everybody wanted to in that movie. I mean, in the movie and the book.
wait, what?
You said fuck her, and I said just like everybody else wanted to do in the movie and the books.
Oh, that's another thing that they carried over into 50 Shades of Grey. It's like you have this character, and it's like you have to assume that literally everyone who comes in contact with her wants to be romantically involved with her. And it's like, that's just not good writing. It makes it seem so fake. And again, I know that I'm like focusing on 50 Shades of Grey, but it's like I actually read that book. So I have a little bit more knowledge of it than I do Bella. But again, considering Anastasia was pretty much just a carbon copy of Bella, like you know how the fan fiction started.
Yeah.
It was a Bella and Edward fan fiction, and because people said that it was good, she changed the names from Bella and Edward to Anastasia and Christian. So it's the same character.
You like how he had to have like a dramatic last name when they make the like character. They can't ever be like last name Jones or John
Right,
or
they
it's Gray.
they can't be Smith, or like the name like Anastasia could never just be like Claire. Like it's like she has to have the Anastasia, and it's or Christian Grey,
Posh. Very posh.
very posh. They can never just or Bella. You get it? Bella, beautiful. They had to put it right there in it for it. I know. Yeah, I think this is a great way to start off the list because I can't think of someone right now that I hate more than, you know what though? Who's the real enemy here? Stephanie Meyer for creating that character and creating the phenomenon. She is responsible for both Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey. Even though she didn't write 50 Shades of Grey, there would be no 50 Shades of Grey if it weren't for Stephanie Meyer. So she's the true villain here. You like that, right? Anyway, all right, let's move on. My number 9 is going to be a hot take here. I don't know if you're ready for it, but it's going to be a hot take because like people really disliked him, and I dislike him as well, even though he also is the main, and it's going to be Iron Fist, Danny Rand. Because it's like, so I'm not saying that people dislike him from the comics. I know that Iron Fist is actually a pretty popular character, but as far as live action, and a lot of this has to do with the actor, a lot of this has to do with the writing, did not like Danny Rand. He was his whole thing is being this rich kid who got, stranded after the plane chartering him and his parents crashed into like the Himalayas, and then he gets raised pretty much by Buddhist monks, not really, but you know what I'm saying, right? He gets raised by them, and then he comes back to New York. And he's super annoying. He just has this, like, I just feel like he had this very, even when you first meet him, right, he has this very, oh God, what is the word that I'm thinking of? Oh my God. Not ignorant, but like, he doesn't have a clue of what the real world is like, and it's like, I know that you were trained by monks essentially for all these years, but they've done flashbacks on them, and it didn't look like the best experience, right? Everyone was like really angry and stuff, so like him with his like really clueless demeanor seemed really unrealistic now looking back on it. I just feel like he pretty much is walking through New York City barefoot, freaking going into going into the building, being like, oh, this is my parents' building, oh, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no one knows who you are. It's so clueless. But not only that, like, just the way that he acted it, just really terrible acting, whiny. It was his show, but like me, I couldn't care less about him. And the fact that like he didn't make the best decisions. Like literally in the first episode or the second episode, he steals Ward's car and hasn't driven since apparently he was 13 or something, and like almost kills the both of them because he like crashes the car or something. I don't know. He was just so annoying. I hated how in the Defenders it focused so much on him. Even like when he was trying to talk to Luke Cage and trying to tell Luke Cage how his experiences aren't very different than Luke Cage's experiences, and I was like, how tone deaf are you, pretty much? And
tone deaf.
Pretty tone deaf, and just his whole demeanor just really was unflattering. Season 2, he definitely improved, but as far as but even still, like, who cares about him? Season 1, Danny Rand was terrible. The Defenders, Danny Rand was terrible, and I think in general, if you go online and you look, people just really disliked frickin' Danny Rand, and for that, I had to put him on the list, even though, technically he was the quote-unquote hero. He was not a likable hero at all. And I remember when Iron Fist got canceled, it was the first one to get canceled. And at that point, we didn't know that Netflix was just like, fuck Marvel, and everything was getting canceled. Yeah. So to me at the time, it seemed plausible. I'm like, yeah, season 2 was good. And it left open a door that needed to be, built upon, but it didn't surprise me because I'm like, that first season was so bad that even a second season couldn't save it. So yeah, number 9 is going to be Iron Fist.
I like how everybody knew that he was unlikable enough that they had to rework his entire character, basically, like his personality-wise. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I do think it's definitely like, okay, I get, like, how many years has he been away from his home?
I mean, I think it's been about 13 years or something.
My thing is, it's like, dude, if this happened to you when you were like 13, right? Because that's like, I'm telling you, I can remember most parts of my life. No matter how many years go by, I think I would remember that it's unacceptable to be walking around without shoes on, and like the hygiene of it. Like, that doesn't just disappear because, you were trained by, like, monks in the mountains and shit? Like, I get, like, you're maybe not used to it, but that does seem a little far-fetched. Which, quick interjection on that. I, at work, watched somebody take their shoes off to go into the Walmart bathroom to use the bathroom and then promptly put them back on to walk around the store. And I found that incredibly alarming. So I can only imagine what they must have thought. Like, people walking by must have thought seeing him without his shoes on. That's my quick disgusting story on that.
Really quick, I went to SUNY Purchase to get my bachelor's, right? And it's a very artsy type of school, and I loved SUNY Purchase, Great campus, fantastic teachers, like nothing really bad to say about the college. But I remember seeing like people walk around campus barefoot, and I'm like, just because this is more of like, say, an artsy, type of environment and everything doesn't mean you should be walking around barefoot. People smoke and flick their cigarettes on the ground because this is before SUNY Purchase had a no smoking rule on premise. So people are literally walking around smoking, ashing their cigarettes, flicking their cigarettes. I would literally see people spitting at the floor. So it's like you're walking around barefoot on campus when you could be walking on people's spit and freaking cigarettes. So yeah, to me, I'm just like, barefoot is for home and the beach.
That's what gets me is I like how he's an unlikable character and he does all this shit, but what's really getting me right now is the walking
The bear.
around. I'm sorry, I just think it's disgusting. I think like I get doing it at home. I get even like say where I live, where you got your front porch and your back porch. Even though I don't want to get like a burr in my foot, like a pokey plant. But besides that, I'm like, I would never go around like say like the streets of New York and go, you know what, I'm gonna walk barefoot. I've seen things, Tia. I've seen things.
And you're just so clueless the whole time. And it's like, I get that you're a kid, but he was in the socialite crowd as a child, right? So you had to have known some sort of the mannerisms that are expected of people there. So for him to be, and just the whole, like, he came into Ward and Joy's life thinking that everything was going to be hunky-dory as soon as he told them that he was Danny, right? And in reality, I know, and like, I'm a Ward apologist, so I do understand, but people sometimes were, saying, oh, why was Ward so apprehensive to believe that it was really Danny? And I do agree that he went too far as to literally putting a hit out on Danny, but if you're the...
a little too much.
But if you're the owner of a multi-billion-dollar company and someone comes forward who has the legal rights to that money, claiming that they're that person, you would also be skeptical. You haven't seen him since he was 13, so he obviously looks different. You can't really trust that, right? So it's like, why would you... I think that his methods of precaution were warranted, but Danny, of course, had to make it, this is my company, I'm entitled to it. And I'm like, God, you giving money to this dude is just the fucking worst.
You're like, you can't remember to wear shoes, but you remember that you're rich as shit and that you deserve it.
Yeah, right? And then, I don't know, I just liked him. He was very childish. He acted out against anyone who, I don't know. I just really disliked him. I hate, like, that first season, I only watched because of Ward. And the second season was okay, but as you said, it's like they had to completely rework the character. Like, completely rework the character. And I'm not trying to diss the actor Finn Jones, but it clearly was him. Like, it clearly was him, and also the director in season 1, but he had to have been so bad because, really quick interjection that has nothing to do with anything, but there's this show on right now called Prodigy, where the lead actor is the guy who played Jesus in The Walking Dead. I forget his name, Tom Payne or something, but that role was originally supposed to go to Finn Jones. He had been cast because we at Geek Vibes literally did the article, Finn Jones cast as lead of Prodigy. And then a week later it was, Prodigy replaces Finn Jones with Tom Payne after one unsuccessful table read. So Finn Jones was so terrible in that one table read that they were like, nah. What'd you say?
They were like, nah, we're good. We don't need you.
We don't need you. So, yeah. Danny Rand is my number 9. Brittany, what's your number 8?
I'm going to go with, let me look at my list here. I'm going to go with, do you remember Andrea Harris?
Where from?
From Walking Dead. I just wanted to see if that name would like.
Oh, Andrea? Oh, I couldn't stand her.
pronounce her name. I ignored her existence.
Yes, please, go on. Go on.
Okay, so the thing is that she was in season 1, 2, and I'm trying to remember all the
3.
seasons she was. She
3.
lasted way longer than she should have.
Yeah.
So basically, she wasn't so bad when she first popped up. She's surviving with her sister, right? And she loves her sister. She seems fine. Like, she seems like just like a normal girl surviving. Well, then her sister dies. And you're like, well, that's really freaking sad. And I get it. She does get suicidal. A lot of people in the show, decide to opt out, which, is their way of saying other things. But how hateful and selfish she gets from that point where she decides that she has another I'm not like other girls type moment where she's not afraid to, get her hands dirty or use a gun. And, she's very dramatic, I guess. I think is what gets me. But let's go to the point of when her sister dies, she gets very depressed. Well, they end up when they go to the CDC, which, as if you've watched it, the CDC ends up exploding, and they have a timer. And some people decided to stay there and just let it explode. They're like, this is a quick way out. I know when I'm going to go out. It's not going to be that bad. Well, Andrea, I always want to call her Andrea decides to stay behind. And what's his name? The older man. I can't remember his name.
Dale, I think?
I think it was Dale. Who's been the sweetest man. He's let them use his RV. He did, let these people come with him and have a safe place to all travel together, right? Well, he convinces her, what does he do? He ends up, does he drag her or just take her or just convince? Oh, he says that he'll stay with her because he doesn't want her to be alone. But obviously, she doesn't want him to die with her, so she ends up going with them. But how she treats him afterwards, she treats him like such shit. She's like, oh, I wanted to, kill myself, but you wouldn't let me, and shame on you. You guilted me into not letting me do this. This is your fault. And I'm like, bitch, I don't know. Maybe be a little more appreciative because you end up pretty happy to be alive afterwards. But she does have, an argument with Lori because she's like, I guess it's almost like she starts to develop an inferiority complex where it's like she wants to be the head bitch. And it's like, dude, nobody's just looking to be head bitch. You just, I don't know, want to be in a position of power. Which leads into when she ends up hooking up with the governor, who we know is one of the worst villains of all time. Best villain, but worst villain, right? Mm-hmm. And ends up being his side piece. But the thing is, she so craves power that even she's like, she thinks she has some hold on the governor, some say, some kind of power. And it's like, no, dude, he's literally just screwing you. I know that sounds bad, but, literally, he's using you. You literally have no power with him. But you're so desperate to be the head bitch of some society that you're willing to, I don't know. I know it sounds bad. It's sleep your way to the top because you think that's going to give you something when you can't see he's just using you. You know what I mean? I guess it was she was the worst aspects of a female character wrapped into one. And so, as being another woman, you're kind of I don't like you. Lori, I didn't like Lori. But at least she could be likable and you could understand things. But Andrea was just a bitch.
Yeah, Andrea definitely, I wasn't the biggest fan of Lori, but Andrea was certainly one of those characters where she was so one-dimensional, and it was oh, here's the female character who has to prove how different she is from other women and how she's one of the boys. I'm not like those other women.
She wants to be one of the boys, which is fine, but she takes it way too far.
It's it reminds me of, there's this Family Guy cutaway scene where it was like these men at a strip club, and like the one female coworker was there, and she was like, "Look, guys, I'm just like you. I also want, a lap dance," and everything. Which, of course, there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting another woman lap dance. I ain't saying against that. I'm just saying that whole like having to prove yourself so much to be like so against all other women. It was so annoying as a woman watching that, And as you said, I hated the way she acted to Dale afterwards. It's like he was trying to save your life. He was trying to save your life, and you don't show 1 ounce of gratitude at all, and you blame him for being someone who actually cared about you just because you lost your sister. It's like, I get it. That sucked. That was a very traumatic experience.
Everybody's lost someone in that shit.
Everyone lost someone. I disliked tremendously how she acted to Lori once. There's that one scene where Lori's given a gun and she's like, "Oh, where's my gun?" "Oh, that's just because you're, sleeping, you got your husband and your boyfriend." Because she literally says that at some point to Lori, and I'm like, wow, bitch, simmer down, And even to the point where she thought like she was on a level playing field of Shane, and I'm just like, get off, right? But in the end, she was just a scared little girl too, Like, why try to put, like, you're at the end times. You women should be uplifting women. Like, honestly, the one moment where she wasn't an annoying piece of shit was when she was telling, oh God, Carol's husband, like, go fuck off, that was like the only moment.
I think like what gets me, and this is where I'm going to backtrack to on something, is I have no problem with a character using their sexuality to get ahead. Like, I think
I don't give a shit about
like
that.
But what gets me is that she used it the wrong way. Like, she thought, I gave you sex, now I have power. And it's like, dude, these men are playing you. It did not give you anything. It did not put you...
I'm sorry, didn't they even prove that? Because there's that one point where the governor meets with Rick, and she thinks that she has the right to take a seat at the table. And the governor pretty much tells her, like, go away, stand outside. And it's
exactly, like, she thought, like, oh, I slept with these men, now it's like, girl, you ain't even playing the game. You're not using your sexuality like a strong woman. You're just like, well, I slept with you, now I get to sit at the table. And it's like, dude, these men don't respect you.
No, I really disliked her. She got more and more annoying as time went on, which I know was one of those things that really bugged people, because she, like, all these characters are based on the comics. And apparently Andrea is like one of the best characters, right? Lasted pretty much all the way up until, like, not the end per se, but really, really far. And people really loved Andrea. Like, in the comics, Andrea gets with Rick, right? And she's like his main girl. And she's really like, she almost takes on the personality that they give to Michonne. But they didn't do that at all in the show, and I don't know if that was where the writing took it. Yeah, I was going to say it could be a combination of the writing, but also could be a combination of maybe they just saw that the actress didn't have those acting capabilities. And I'm not trying to diss the actress. I literally know nothing about her. I don't even know her name. I've never seen her in anything else, but I really disliked the direction that she took the character.
And I guess, like, I will say the only scene I do like with her is when she sleeps with Shane, when she grabs his crotch.
Yeah. That's because we're Shane.
he say? He was like, you gonna do something with that? Or like, he
He was
said
like,
something.
get over here or something. That's just because you and I are shameless Shane fans.
Yeah, I know. We are. I can't even deny it. There's so many times on stream when there's like a character I really like, and I go, "Oh shit, he's a daddy," and they're like, "Girl, you have problems." They're like, there's like a look that comes over your face when you like a character.
They already know, they know your secret, Brittany.
I know. It's not much of a secret. It's like me wearing it on my forehead and going, "This is my secret."
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true. But yeah, I really disliked Andrea like a lot. Like a lot, a lot, a lot. I was so happy when she died. I wasn't even sad.
So fucked up. So fucked up.
I know, but she's just annoying. Everything that she did, she was a drama queen. She had to, she pretty much, I think, looked to cause divide among people, right? I just didn't like it at all. They could have had a really good potential to have a good character there because, she was strong and she did know how to use a gun, right? She was much more like, all right, Lori, right, was a housewife. What was I going to say? She was a housewife. Her primary, lot in life was taking care of the house and taking care of a kid, right? So not really, and certainly that played into being like the nurturing side, right? But not really the greatest of skills of fighting against walkers, right? So then you have someone like Andrea who knows how to like tie knots, who knows how to fish, who knows how to hunt, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, that plays into it, so you do want someone like that who, go ahead.
I would say she had more survival skills.
She had more survival skills, right? So that could have definitely helped because, again, you had Lori, you had Carol, women who weren't necessarily prepared for something like this. So you could have had Andrea, like, helping them and teaching them, right? And, blah, blah, blah. And it's like instead there was, like, this huge divide, like, where they all had to be against each other. And I could probably go on a bigger rant about how sexist that is and how it's always the trope to just want to, say that women are catty against each other. But I'll save that for another day. Huh?
I'm just laughing.
No, you know what I'm saying? It's like you could have had where it's like they all stand. It's like, yeah, they all stood briefly in solidarity against Carol's very abusive husband, but after that it was just more so like Andrea like scoffing at Lori or Lori. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could have had a much like, I don't know. To me, the happy medium there was like, say, Maggie, right? She was nurturing, but she also lived on a farm, so she had a little bit more of, say, like, survival skills in a sense. So, like, she was, like, Maggie was what Andrea should have been to the other women in the group. And I'll say one last thing before we move on. You know what was the worst thing that Andrea did?
Oh, no. Tell me.
Remember Maggie's sister, what was her name? Emily or something?
Oh,
She wanted to kill herself, and so Maggie and Lori were like pretty much taking like double shifts to make sure that she did it. And Andrea's like, "Well, I'll help her," and she literally like gave her, the opening to go do it. And when Lori said like, "Oh," she no, I think she smashed the mirror, but she, like, left the door open. She didn't lock the door, so the sister easily had access to that room, to smash the mirror. And when Andrea was told, like, she cut her wrist, but not deep enough, and then she stopped and said sorry. And Andrea looked, like, happy. She was like, she made her choice. She wants to live. And I'm like, how?
Like, that's so, like, disgusting.
It's disgusting. Don't push yourself on her, right? And I was like pissed. Maggie was pissed. She was like, "You ain't allowed in this house." And I was like, I would be the same way if I were you. I would have punched her. You were a lot nicer than I would have been.
It's like, you imagine having a sibling and them doing that. I would be like, I will literally destroy you.
Right? I just remember that. I was like, that's the most disgusting thing that Andrea has ever done. And after that, I was like, I really can't ever respect you.
I think they just made her way too unlikable. I think they couldn't recover from it. Like
Yeah,
Negan,
so they
people
just,
hated Negan because he killed, you know,
Glenn and
some,
Abraham.
yeah, but they made him likable in the aspect of having him. He didn't pretend to be something he wasn't, and he had his reasons for doing what he did, right? And he constantly explains that, but you can't really recover from you can't recover from that kind of shit.
No, not at all. So, I 100% agree. I very much disliked Andrea. So that is a perfect number 8. I am going to get number 7, and I'm going to have a character who I believe did redeem himself somewhat, but at first we hated him.
Oh
Hated
no.
him. And it is going to be Porn Stash from Orange is the New
I knew
Black.
it! I knew it! I put him on my list just in case. Just in
Oh
case.
my God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I hope you have others.
No, I put him just in case. I have plenty more.
Okay. I all right, admittedly, I think I fell off of Orange is the New Black after season 4. After they killed Poussey, I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. I was like, no, I
That
draw the line here.
was that was out of nowhere. They should have never done that.
They should have never done that. She was one of the best characters, and I was just like, yeah, I can't. So, but I loved Orange is the New Black, right? I remember when the first season came out, and everyone was raving about it, and I checked it out, and I was enamored. I remember every season that came out, because Cindy was a fan of it, we would literally, when the new season dropped, we'd either go to her house or go to my house and watch, the first couple of episodes together, right? Loved that show. And the first season, the big bad was Porn Stash. I mean,
Oh, I love
yeah, I love him too. In that, now you love him because he was so bad that you loved him, and then they kind of fixed his storyline up. What'd you say?
They softened him.
They saw him, but in the first season, especially the first few episodes, right? He was a monster. Not only was he a dick to everyone, he literally, I don't know if you remember, he freaking threatened Red to import he was literally peddling drugs. He was peddling drugs into
Food.
He peed in her food, right? I was getting to that. He peed in her freaking food, and that one girl with the tattoo down her neck, he left her in a closet with the drugs, and she overdosed, and then he literally staged it like she hung herself to get that sort of, pressure off of him. And
Her.
what'd you say?
He Epsteined her.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh my God. I never thought I'd hear you say something like that.
It was fucking know it.
Hashtag Epstein didn't kill himself.
Oh.
I don't know how I can recover from that, Brittany. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But so yeah, after Porn Stash Epsteined her. Oh, I hate that that's synonymous because there's a really good Jewish deli called Epstein's, and I'm like, God damn it!
Why you gotta ruin the name Epstein? I know there's somebody else famous with the last name Epstein, and I instantly was like, I don't like them, and I was like, wait a second, that's a different Epstein.
That's a different Epstein. But, which, by the way, there's a new documentary about Epstein on Netflix, so everyone should check that out, because it's pretty disturbing. But, yeah, so Porn Stash did that, and then I think he was making that same girl, give him head for drugs. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure, right? Just an overall dick. Just,
he also Piper while strip searching her one day.
Yep, he groped her. He threatened oh God, Lorna, the real Italian girl who like was delusional about that guy Christopher, like literally threatened her one day. He was like a menace. He was such a menace that remember and I'll talk about this briefly, but I'm just fast forwarding into how like much of a menace he was that remember he got kicked out of the jail for a hot second and then in season 2 was brought back for like a little bit. And he's the only person that, like, Red was truly afraid of because, she's a bad bitch herself, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as she heard that, oh, my God, with these police sirens, stop. As soon as she heard that, like, Porn Stash was back, the look on her face was, like, of horror because it's, like, oh, my God, right? So, yeah.
What's most funny is, like, how, like, it was like a dramatic event when he came back. Like, everybody was like, oh my God, he's back.
Well, because when he came back, he literally, like, busted through the doors, and he was like, what are you doing? That's a shot. You turn, that's a shot. And then he was like, Mendez is back, bitches.
Back, bitches. I remember that because I thought it was so funny.
And then doesn't he force that one girl to shower because, like, she's staging a protest, so she's, like, not showering. And he's like, you fucking stink. Get the fuck in there, Like, he was just such, like, this, like, insane, like, presence in the jail. So we'll obviously talk really quick about his softening, but what did you think? Like, what did you think at first when you watched Orange is the New Black? Did you also see this guy as like, oh my God, he's bad?
I loved him as a villain because whenever, it's funny because when I moved moved out of my parents into the first home, right? When all that was going on. And I remember we had got the internet hooked up, we had the TV hooked up, finally was going to be able to watch, television. And I remember we were hot and sweaty, and we hooked up Netflix. And I had never really had Netflix before, right? But we had a smart TV, and I was like, oh, we have Netflix, let's try it, right? I think it had like a free trial with it. And I remember we put on Orange is the New Black because it was one of the Netflix original series, so we were just going to put it on background noise. And I remember getting so enamored. I remember my parents ended up staying way too late because we were like, one more episode of Orange is the New Black. One more episode of Orange is the New Black. And I remember we were like, oh my God, Porn Stash is an asshole. This guy's a monster. Like, being so worked up about it, but loving to hate him. And so, I don't know, it's like that little special place in my heart where I'm like, he's a monster, but he's our monster.
No, exactly. It was one of those things, because then they certainly went different directions with this character, and I'm going to point out what they did, right? So, obviously, at some point in the story, Daya gets with Bennett, I think his name is, gets with Bennett, and she gets he ends up being the worst, right? But she hooks up with Ben. She ends up getting pregnant by him. But the thing is, she can't say that she's pregnant. She wasn't pregnant when she entered prison. And no sex between a CO and an inmate is deemed consensual, even though it was, right? So it's like, she can't say that, they're going to be like, well, whose baby is this? How did you get pregnant? Obviously, it has to be one of the COs. She can't say it's Bennett. He'll get in a lot of trouble. So they figured, let's pin it on Porn Stash, right? So, what'd you say?
I said, yeah, because he's a monster.
Right. Which I kind of love that she had to, like, get him to fuck her twice, because the first time he used a condom, it's like, he's a monster, but he's a careful monster.
Right.
So, so that's why he initially gets kicked out of the prison, and then he gets brought back for some reason. I forget how they spun that, right? But the thing was that he, like, fell in love with Daya. He was, like, telling her that he, like, really cared for her. He wanted to care for her baby. He even told Bennett that, like, I love that woman. Tell her I said hi, blah, blah, blah. And then even I remember when he came back, there was points where, like, Bennett was getting really frustrated. And he kind of went on, like, a rage during, like, one moment where, like, Porn Stash had to freaking grab him and, like, be like, it's okay, everything's okay, like, stuff like that. Also, going back, do you remember when how much he hated Pennsatucky? Because when she's trying to sit there and say that there was something wrong with Sophia, because Sophia was transgender, and he was like, "Shut the fuck up."
Right, but he was so into Sophia. Like
He was so into her.
like all about some Sophia, and I was like, I kind of love this. Like you have him as such an asshole, and of course, he wasn't very correct about why the reasons he liked her, because that whole thing. But like I love that he liked her so much.
No, I did too. I don't know, there was something about that, but yeah, and obviously Pornstache does get in trouble for like what he did with Daya, and he goes to prison. You see that at some point, and he's such a mommy's boy. You find out he's like mommy. But I don't know if you saw. So I saw the clips, even though I stopped watching after season 4. In season 5, Daya pretty much asks Pornstache's mom to adopt her baby because she's like, I'm still in prison. Bennett left, which is why Bennett's the worst. So the baby daddy left, and if she has a baby, the baby's gonna go to Cesar, who's her mother's boyfriend, who's like a meth dealing fucking asshole. So it's like or foster care. She doesn't want any of that. So she knows at least Pornstache's mom is a very well-to-do woman who would be able to provide. And Pornstache wants that baby so much because he's out of jail at this point that he begs his mother, begs her to, go through with it. And the mother agrees. And when the series ended, they show a flash. It's literally a 2-second scene of Pornstache playing with a child in the middle of kitchen playing pots and pans. So he literally went from like this despicable character to being like quote unquote father of the year.
But that's the thing is, like, there had to be somewhere in him that realized that the baby wasn't his. Like, the mom seemed to know, right? But
I think the mom, though, yeah.
He wanted the baby so bad. And you have to wonder, I think he definitely had issues because I think, his father left him. And I think it was almost that, like, his redemption arc.
Yeah, it was certainly his redemption arc. So I know, like, he didn't end off being like the most hated character, but he certainly started as like one of the most despicable hated characters. When season 1 came out, and it was just season 1, so you didn't know where the show was going to go with anything. You were like, yo, I hate Pornstache. He's a dick, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, I started rewatching the first season of Orange is the New Black, and I was like, this is a good show. I was like, it's still good. I was like, I think maybe I'll like try to continue and watch past season 4, but it got ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, Pornstache is my number 7. Brittany, what's your number 6?
Let me see. There's so many to it. There's so many on my list. I'm gonna go with another bad prison show, like good prison. I'm gonna go with Teabag.
Yes. Oh my god, this is the second week in a row that we're talking about Prison Break. I love it.
Teabag is a monster. So Teabag is from Prison Break, and he played another inmate. And he's apparently in there because he's like a serial rapist, but like murderer, but also like child rapist, I think. And like and the part is like he's funny, and you like want to like him, but then you have to remember that like, oh yeah, child rapist. He's kind of the worst of the worst, but he has like this like Alabama accent, like very like that southern like very proper accent, and acts like a very educated man, which I think he talks that way. I think it's explained that I think his father like gave him like what you find out, like his father raped him, he was heavily abused as a child, all of this, and that his father was a rapist who, isn't he like the product of like a sister and a brother, but his mother was mentally handicapped and like the father took advantage of her, which was the brother. Yeah, it's all a messed up thing. But I remember, like, one, you hate him because he's so sneaky. He constantly is like, he's smart enough to get what's the main character's name again? I can't remember. Michael. Like, he constantly knows that Michael is up to something. And he's constantly, like, you can tell, like, he rapes other inmates. He constantly has a younger inmate with him that is very, like, abused. And I don't know. It's just he's so despicable that that you love to hate him. That's the thing, is you love to hate him. He's such a great villain. But he ends up like, what's one of them? I'm trying to remember. The CO that ends up getting stuck with them during the riot. And Teabag wants to murder/rape him so badly. And he's like going through his wallet and he sees the picture of his daughter and he's like, oh, I'm going to pay her a visit when I get out. All these things. And he wants to kill him so badly. But they're all like, no, you can't do that, can't do that. But Teabag ends up getting him. Doesn't he, like, split his throat and shoves him over the edge? Like, he could have legitimately just let the guy go. But he so badly, just for the sake of being such a monster, wanted to murder him. Like, he's constantly so bad throughout the series.
Yeah, he was definitely, like, a monster. He's one of those, like, the actor played it where I think you just kept wanting more of him because of how despicable of a character he was. But the things that he was doing was so horrid. And I don't know if you remember, but he kept kind of like getting in the middle of Michael's plans and always seemed at some point where he could potentially like, fuck him over, right? But yeah, I mean, he was a child molester, child killer. He was a racist. I mean, he was all these terrible things. And he was a fucking murderer in...
Didn't he kill like 15 children? Isn't that the thing?
Yeah, something like that.
It's like a high amount.
It was a high amount. That's why I think he's serving life in prison. And he's also like a murderer, an attempted murderer. Like, doesn't he at some point go to try to murder the other kind of like prison boss in there, who is actually the same guy who played Chernobog in American Gods?
Wasn't it Mayweather? It was something like that.
The Russian guy. Isn't he like Russian, or he like plays Russian in other like freaking things? He was a
mobster, or if you played an Italian mobster.
But he tries to kill him. He like tries to slit his throat at some point. The whole thing was like crazy. And I think, what was it in? Oh, and isn't it in the 4th season when Michael's girlfriend, I forgot her name, Sarah, is pregnant or something, but like he tries to like sexually molest her or something like that, like something crazy.
No, he's definitely a monster, but like the thing is, you wanted more of him because he was such a perfect fucking villain.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that's why they kept... You ever have, like, okay, this is how I feel about, say, Blaine from iZombie, right? I have a feeling, and I'd love to talk to the freaking showrunners about it, but I have a feeling that Blaine was probably only meant to be like a season 1 villain. But because the actor did such a good job, they kept finding ways to make room for him in the upcoming in the seasons that followed. So I feel like that's the same thing with Teabag. I feel like Robert Keniper did a great job. And I'm not commenting on the real life stuff that happened with Robert. I'm not commenting on that at all. I'm just saying that as an actor, he, played that part where it clearly, got a good reaction from both audiences and the producers or something, that they were like, we need to have him in this show more.
No, definitely. Like, I think that they knew it. It's so hard. He was like porn stash. That's what made me think about it. It's like he was porn stash, even though he wasn't redeemable. Like, I think he was definitely worse than porn stash because at least porn
Oh yeah.
bad things, but at least he wasn't like a child rapist.
Pornstar definitely like did a lot of horrible shit, but he wasn't a murderer. I mean,
So,
he didn't tell that girl to overdose on all those drugs.
Tia, do not apologize for him. Do not.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry. That was
you
wrong.
know?
Stop apologizing for Negan.
I will never stop.
Oh God, does Negan show up on this list?
No, you're good. I've never even hated him, not even from day one. Negan did nothing wrong.
Oh my God. Negan and Thanos, the two people who literally get away with murder in Brittany's mind.
I was gonna say, but like, look at him. I mean, Thanos was trying to do a good, like,
Oh my God.
did bad things for good reasons, and so did Negan. At least it was Negan's thing. It's the post-apocalypse. It's the post-apocalypse, okay?
Mm-hmm. I love you putting Teabag down on this list. I feel like it's been a while since we talked about Prison Break, so exploring that both last week and this week, I'm kind of like, damn, that was a really good show. I might go back and try and rewatch it.
You definitely should. You definitely should.
I was like, hello? Did I lose you? What would you say?
Who's next up on your list?
I still can't hear you. What?
I said, who's next up on your list?
Who's next up on my list? Oh, you want my number 5?
Yeah, I want your number 5.
Makes me think of the song Mambo number 5. So mine is, I hated this character. There's nothing redeemable about her. I hated her so badly. And it is Pablo Escobar's mother from Narcos.
Oh, no.
I hated her. Now, okay, I get that a mother, I'm not a mom, so I can't say, but a mother's always going to love their children no matter what kind of fucked up shit they do. And Pablo Escobar obviously did a lot of messed up shit. But she never seemed to care. She knew exactly what Pablo was doing. They show that from like episode 1. She's involved in his, him hiding money away in the couch. She's sewing. First of all, I'm sorry, in real life, if she was really doing that, she deserved to also go to jail because she was aiding in freaking Pablo's whole entire operation by hiding his money, by sewing the pockets in the suits for the Lion to transport coke from Colombia to America. Fuck that bitch. I hated her, right? And it gets my blood boiling even now thinking about her because especially in season 2. First of all, she's one of those people who are so religious, but they do such despicable things, and it's like, first of all, she was dumb as shit, right? There in season 2, the whole Escobar family is in hiding, and she's like, I have to go to church. It's Easter. And what does that do? That leads back Los Pepes to them where they get freaking attacked and poor Tata's brother gets freaking killed. All because this bitch needed to go to church. Okay? And
like I respect that apparently you feel so strongly about this, but you're also entirely, like, you are a monster.
No, it's stupid, okay? I don't respect it. Jesus can hear you at home. All right? All right? And this is coming from someone who's Catholic, okay? Jesus can hear you at home. You're in hiding. Like, what do you think? And she is so clueless. She was like, my Pablo. And it's like, your Pablo murders people. And they showed, like, real-life footage of the mother. And she's like, he's built schools. He's built hospitals. I'm like, he only did that as a cover for the real evil shit. He blew up a plane. He blew up a plane of of 170 something innocent people get off it. And in season 2, when Pablo has to go into hiding and the family is actually under protection from the government because Los Pepes is literally murdering like children. Like that was the thing. It was like, Los Pepes didn't care. Like they even showed they killed the reporter who was sleeping with Pablo. They killed his the guy who was like doing the communication between Pablo and the president. They killed him, his son, and like his freaking mother. So Los Pepes didn't care. So at this point, the Escobar family was really in danger. So Pablo goes in hiding, and the family has to go, into government protection. And while Tata was always reasonably worried, the mother's like, your faith in Pablo, how low it is so despicable. You need to trust Pablo. Why are you always worrying?
You need to be a good wife.
You have to be the good wife. Stop questioning. She literally said, stop questioning Pablo, and Tata's like, what are we supposed to do? The government can't, because there's at some point where the Justice of Peace or something tells them, like, we can't protect you anymore. The money has run out. And she was like, what are we supposed to do? And the mother's like, I'm going back for my son. Like acting as if Tata wasn't at all loyal, when Tata at any point could have taken her kids and left. And she even said to Pablo at some point, wherever you go, I will go. She wasn't a disrespectful wife. She wasn't a, bad wife. She was obviously concerned because shit was getting crazy. And the mother was constantly like in her face about how bad she was, and telling Tata like, oh, when Pablo was a kid, I stole shoes for him because even though we were poor, we didn't need to look poor. I did whatever was necessary for my child, And then again, when
appearances?
Because of appearances. And then when Pablo was killed, they showed real life footage of the mother, like, whining and complaining. I hated her. Oh, God. Talking about right now gets me so riled up, because I was watching, I was like, I hate this bitch. I hate this bitch. I hate this bitch.
You want to go, lady? Your son is the reason why other sons couldn't go home to their mothers.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, I get it. Like, as a mom, you're always going to love your child. But the fact that she was so disrespectful to Tata, and again, she aided in what Pablo did. And I hope there was some sort of financial or legal repercussions for this. C-U-N-T.
Tell me how you really feel, Tia.
I just really disliked her, okay? And where was she when Pablo died and Tata had nowhere to go? Tata had to go to the frickin' Rodriguez brothers from the Cali cartel for help. So where were you at, Pablo Escobar's mother? You're all about family, but technically those are your grandkids. What were you doing to help them? You gonna go steal some shoes?
What a bitch.
And then she didn't even care that Tata's brother got killed. But meanwhile, again, it was worth it just to go to church for, Christmas. It was Christmas. It wasn't Easter. But, you had to go to church for Christmas. But, now Tata's brother is dead. And it's like, I hated her. I'm sorry.
She cares as long as it's her family.
Do you remember, because you watched Narcos, at least the first 2 seasons, right?
I watched, I think, part of season 1, and I don't remember. I do remember the mother acting very naive about the money put in the couch, act almost like, we deserve it, it's not a big deal, of course this is normal to just put that in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, she just it wasn't even the thing, right? I don't know. I just really disliked her, and again, I guess that goes to show how well the actress played her, because I really freaking hated her. And she definitely wasn't those type of. She was to me, one of those most hated characters. It wasn't like, oh, you love to hate them, like Pablo Escobar, right? Not the real Pablo Escobar, but, how Wagner Moura portrayed Pablo Escobar. You're like, oh, I hate Pablo. It's such a bad person. But I really like how Wagner Moura plays Pablo, But for this, I'm like, I really hate this bitch.
I know, she's just a bitch for bitch's sake at that point.
Yeah, and I just felt bad for Tata having to like put up with this. But yeah, so that's my number 5. Brittany, what's your number 4?
I think I'm gonna go with, let me look here. I'm gonna go with Calvin Candy from Django
Oh
Unchained.
God. At first I was like, who are you talking about? And I was like, wait, I
You heard
know.
Candy and you were like, wait a second, I know what this is. I hated him. Because one, well, first off, he's a plantation owner. He's, very highly disrespectful to black people. He was, he was just the worst. He was the epitome of what that time period stood for and wanting to look so much more than he actually was, like the Monsieur Candy. And it's like, dude, you're just a basic white dude that just wants to be like aristocratic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I like whenever King Schultz, is that how he said, starts speaking French and he's like, no, don't do that. He doesn't speak French. He'll get upset. And it's like, dude, you're putting on the show. And then like first off you realize that he's actually naive and not at all that smart because who does oh Samuel L. Jackson. Who does he? What's the name of his character? I
Oh
don't.
gosh. I don't
I
remember.
I don't remember. But
I'll look it up really quick if you want
when
to
he
just keep
sits
talking.
there. Okay, he sits there and he's like, "Man, they're playing you. You're not even seeing this." And he kind of puts it together. But he's so unlikable, especially with Oh, I'm trying to remember Django's uh wife's name because it was from
Broomhilda.
Hilda. Yeah, there's a whole story. There's a whole story with Siegfried and Broomhilda. But like, when he holds her down and like rubs the blood on her face and he acts like so crazy. He says like, "I want the $12,000 for her," which I think it was 12,000 because I remember it's like a shit ton of money. Like even for then, it was like like I don't know, like 500,000.
Yeah.
Just incredibly exuberant amount. And he was such a sore winner, like a horrible winner, because they could have just gone on, but to the point that even he rubbed Schultz so wrong. Oh, and the poor dude, the runaway slave who ends up getting torn up by the
Oh
dogs.
God, yeah.
I like
No,
how he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm upset that you ran away and, I want my money out of you, blah, blah, blah." But then he has the dogs literally tear him apart alive while the guys are just laughing and having a good time over it. And another thing is like the Mandingo thing, I think it was called, like, where, like, he just wanted to watch people kill each other.
yeah, and really quick, Samuel L. Jackson's character was Stephen Warren, it says. Yeah, oh God, I hate him. He's
Yeah, because I think
so,
they called him Steve or Steve, like they called him something.
he was so despicable, right? As you said, he was a freaking like hillbilly who tried to polish himself up to act like he was so fancy, right? As you said, where it was like Monsieur Candy, but no, he doesn't speak French though, because so don't speak French, you'll insult him. Um, and I hated the Mandingo thing, right? That was so uncomfortable to watch. And the fact that
Yeah.
he was so gleeful of watching these two people, pinned against each other, and the only way out of it is to kill the other person. And when the guy ran away, he says, you won 3 fights. You should have won at least 5. And it's like, so what? He's gonna lose the 6th fight. That's not just losing a fight. That's losing his life. But you don't
Yeah.
care about that. You just care about getting your money's worth out of it. And what was really uncomfortable was, remember when he takes the skull out to set
Oh, yeah, yeah.
to prove how black people's brains are different than white people, and it's like, you sound so ignorant right now that it's so uncomfortable to even hear you talk that way.
I know. It was like, it wasn't enough that, he treated them so poorly, but he was saying, oh, you're born to be treated this way, which was incredibly fucked up.
Yeah, 100%. He was such a despicable character. He was so hated. But again, I would say that was all part of Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Like, playing that character to be so despicable. But I do love how Schultz hated him so much, because what did Schultz say to Django at some point in the middle of the movie? He was like, I don't want to die in Chickasaw,
Such foreshadowing.
Right? But then it's like, he couldn't let it go. He had to say to Candy how terrible of a person he thought he was. And the fact that, doesn't he say, he's like, oh, that book that you love so much, it was written by a black person. Like, trying to show him, like, you're so racist, but you are appropriating, like, you're enjoying, things that are produced by black people, but yet you think of yourself as superior to them. And he had to say it to him. And I love when he goes, what does he say? He is like, people say, oh God, Avita, but it really means, like, I'll see you again. He's like, and since I don't wish to see you again, I will just say goodbye.
Yeah, Schultz was so good in that. I mean, everybody was amazing, but I love Christoph Waltz. Amazing actor.
Well, because Christoph Waltz always has a way to make him so, musical in his...
Yeah, I know, he's very musically, without singing.
Yes, his speech is very melodic, but
he's very
musical. Oh, I love it. Love it. But yeah, oh God, Candy was so bad. Oh, Jesus. He was so, I know we keep saying it, but he was just, the worst of the worst. But, okay, so tell me how, right, Samuel L. Jackson's character, Stephen, was a slave. But I feel like even Stephen was, reprimanding Candy at some point, even though Candy was, quote-unquote, the house.
Reprimanded his finger.
Yeah, but to me that showed, how, fake that Candy's, status really was, that it's you're not even really technically the head of your own household. You're made to believe, and because you're so stupid, you believe this, but in reality, you're just, a pawn, pretty much.
I think he was very much the epitome of, rich kid, raised in this lifestyle, and wants so badly, almost like the playboy aspect, and wanting to be something so badly, but didn't have the smarts or the actual stuff for it. You know what I mean? He just wanted to play.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. He enjoyed everything that was given to him because he was a spoiled, rich, privileged kid. And to him, it's yeah, I'm going to have these guys fight each other to the death. That's fun. I have the money for that. And I don't know. That's rewatching that movie after you had watched it, and I had wanted to kind of relive the magic. I was I forgot all about that Mandingo moment, and I was this is so uncomfortable. That this poor guy has to kill him. And then afterwards he's just standing there with blood on him and everyone's acting like nothing really happened. And Candy's just get yourself a drink. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's how he acts so normal about it. How dare you be upset that I'm making you do this? Yeah,
100%. So I agree. Calvin Candy is a very, very, very despicable character and certainly hated. I'm going to hit number 3, and mine is going to be, I guess, maybe not so much hated in a popular sense like so many of these other characters are, but certainly a hated character in the show. Okay, so it is, let me just make sure I get his name right. I want to make sure that I do that correctly. Sorry.
I that too. I like Andrea. I forgot her name was Andrea. I'm like, why you gotta say it like that, girl?
Okay, I got it right. Okay. So the character's name is Perry Wright, and he's played by Alexander Skarsgård on the HBO series Big Little Lies. And he was in season 1. And so Perry's character is married to Nicole Kidman's character, Celeste, I think. What'd you say? Yeah, Celeste. Okay.
Yeah.
Celeste. I'm taking a lot of time here. Sorry, guys. But so Perry's married to Celeste, and on the surface, it looks like they have this fantastic relationship, right? He is extremely wealthy. I don't even know what he does, honestly, but it apparently affords them this beautiful house, and they have 2 children. He's traveling a lot for work. She doesn't work, which you find out later is because he forbids her to work. But so from the surface, everyone like thinks that they have the perfect relationship. Even Celeste's friends are like, "Oh, you and Perry, you guys have been together for like 10 years, and you're still acting as if you're sweethearts. You're all over each other, blah 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 blah." But in reality, he's beating the fucking shit out of her. He is a controlling, manipulative, abusive asshole who has this like temper like nobody's else. And if you think about it, like Alexander Skarsgård is like 6'5", right?
Oh
and
yeah, he's huge.
He's huge, and Nicole Kidman isn't small. I think she's like what 5'10" or something, but she looks like she is 5 foot in front of him. He's so big, and he's so angry all the time. The smallest thing like sets him off. She could just be like, "Oh, I'm having lunch with my friend, today." And he's like, "Why didn't you ask my permission? Why didn't we talk about this?" Or, you discover that before they had kids, she was a lawyer, a very successful lawyer, and he told her that he didn't want her working now that they have children. But one of her friends gets into legal trouble, so Celeste just gives advice pretty much. She's not even working as a lawyer. She's just giving legal advice. He's so angry. He's so angry with it. And then at some point, Celeste has this really big speech where she's like, "I'm a mother, but it's not enough. I want my career." And she wants to go back to work. And he's just so angry all the time. And so the big thing is that they go to therapy, right? Because it's like he beats her, and then he has these moments of like that he's so apologetic, right? He's so, "Please don't leave me. I love you. I'm so sorry," blah, blah, blah. And they start going to couples counseling. But I think quickly the therapist like discovers that something's not right here. And And eventually he stops going, but she does. And Celeste is all like, "Well, I just want to learn how to be a better wife. It's both of us, blah, blah, blah." And the therapist is like, "Listen, it's not you. Stop it." She's like, "I no longer want this to be a therapy session. I want this to be us planning for you to leave."
Oh, yeah. And how many kids do they have?
They have 2. So really quick. So pretty much, and I guess spoilers for for anyone who has never seen Big Little Lies, but Celeste ends up getting an apartment, right? And so she's planning on like eventually moving into the apartment, and Perry doesn't know this, but so then there's this one night where they're supposed to go to this big like to-do type of event, because I think it takes place in Hampton, so a bunch of wealthy people doing like parties and stuff, and he's so angry. And it's like, I swear I've never felt a chill in my stomach than when she gets ready for the party, and she comes downstairs and he's like, "Oh, your real estate broker called." And that was him like saying like he knows now. And the look of her face, I was like, he's gonna kill her. I was like, she's gonna die. And that was like the reality. You're like, she's really going to die. So they get to the party, right? And there's at some point, and again, no one knows Like, no one knows the truth behind this, right? Everyone thinks that they're this perfect couple. And finally, there's this moment where he shows his true colors, like yelling at her, and like her friends see, and not even her friends, like some of the women who she didn't even like, that she didn't even have good relationships with, see like what's going on and see like the look of horror on her face, realizing that like she's in trouble. And when they try to get him, he's like pretty much fighting them. And pretty much like Zoe Kravitz's character pushes him down fucking stairs, and it's effing beautiful. And like, you
Oh
know,
shit.
me as a feminist, I like watched that scene. I cried because I was like, it's women coming together and supporting women and making sure that this guy doesn't fucking hurt anyone ever again. So I know this is a very long-winded explanation, but I hated Perry. He was such a monster, and I'm so happy that he got killed.
Oh my god, like, no, that's the thing is, like, there's some characters that you love to hate, right? Because you don't feel like, if they did something horrible, right? It's talked about, but you don't witness it, right? But
All
to
right.
witness that over and over again, and for someone to feel so trapped, and it's just this constant, like, sickness in your stomach that you're just like, just get away, I just want you to get away. It's, like, very stress-inducing.
Oh, it's so stressful because he was constantly beating her and raping her, and you saw it. It's not like they, just showed her with a black eye or some bruises or something. I mean, they showed it, and you were like, every time you were like terrified for like Celeste, At least I was. I watched it and I was like, she's gonna die. He's
I
going to
would not
kill
have been
her.
able to watch it. You know how I am.
Well, you know what it is? It's one of those things that I feel like for a while Nicole Kidman didn't act. Like, did you feel like that? I feel like there was a good 5 years
Yeah, I feel
where she
like I hadn't
wasn't.
seen her in forever.
Yeah, and then finally she got back into like the acting scene, and I was like, what? She's a good actress, and I like Alexander Skarsgård, and they both won Emmys for their roles, and I was like, I need to see like what they did, and I was like, wow.
You're like, wow, they're awful. Well, he's awful.
He's awful. Oh, here's the kicker of how bad of a person Perry is. So not only does he do that to his wife, but there's another character that's introduced into the story, this like younger girl. She's a single mom, and eventually she tells the story of how she went on a date with this really good looking man about like 4 or 5 years back. And, she thought that it was going to be a wonderful night, and he ended up raping her because she didn't want to have sex. It was like just one date, and he ended up like raping her and leaving. And that's the father of her kid. And at some point she sees a picture of Celeste's husband, and she goes, that's the man who raped me. So
Oh,
mind you, while he was with Celeste, being so insecure, threatening her all the time, accusing her of wanting to go cheat on him, he went and raped another woman.
oh, great. That's not depressing and horrible at all. Shit.
Yeah, so I want to say that I hated him. So I definitely count him as one of the most hated characters.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that makes my next pick feel like so much smaller.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm like, I had a serious one, but I almost like want to put this other one next after this just to like be a little more lighthearted.
I'm sorry. I mean, you can put both or save it for the honorable mentions because I have some honorable mentions.
Okay.
All right. So who is your number two, Brittany?
I was just gonna go with Regina George from Mean Girls.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, we certainly need that after all of that.
I was like, yours is so intense, and I'm all here for it. But I was like, oh my God, my heart.
Oh my God. Yes, please. Explain to the audience why Regina is so hated.
Regina, who's the leader of what are they called? The Plastics.
Oh God, I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've watched Mean Girls.
I know, so long. They only wear pink on. What was it? I can't remember what
Wednesday
day.
or something.
Wednesday. But basically, she's the head of this clique. She is the most popular girl of the school. Lindsay Lohan's character, which I'm so bad with names, Tia. Like, I've seen this movie a million and 10 times. But she's working on infiltrating this group so that, they can bring them down because she's being, like, influenced by another girl and another guy, that are wanting to see her taken down because they are the mean girls. They are the top of the clique, but they are also horribly, horribly mean. But it's just with Regina. I guess she's like the manifestation of the meanest girl that you ever had in school. Like, Tia, you've had to have had that mean girl in school, right? That you were just like, God, she's popular and pretty, but God, she's such a sadistic bitch. And, I do think back to, like, I think that's why people relate so much with hating that character. And, the burn book where they write about each person in school and just say the most horrible shit about them, and like, that where it's their way of just being mean for the sake of being mean. And my thing is, like, we've all vented, right? God knows that we've vented this entire podcast about characters we hate, and sometimes you just gotta vent in real life, right? But Regina and them, they're just so despicable by what they're saying. It's just pretty horrific. And just that, like, Regina knows at some point, like, her ex-boyfriend, the Lindsay Lohan character, likes him. And even though they're broken up, she wants to get back with him just for the fact that she doesn't want somebody else to have him. And just, like, I don't know, she's so petty. And so, like, and later on when she says that, oh, they made the burn book, and look, why would I put my own name in there? It says the most hateful shit about herself in it. Yeah. I just go, like, she's so sneaky. I mean, she ends up getting hit by a bus afterwards. So, I mean,
that's right.
She gets hit by a bus.
I want to
stand in front of it.
I want to say that, did you know that Rachel McAdams, the actress who played Regina, that was a wig the whole time?
What?
Yeah, that wasn't her real hair. That was a wig.
It did not look like a wig at all.
Yeah, okay, so, like, I didn't have that high school experience, but I had that grammar school experience. That's the thing. Like, all these movies that focus so much on high school being like that, me personally didn't experience that. My high school was very chill. Like, everyone had groups, There were groups. You had the goths, you had the prettier girls, you had the jocks, blah, blah. But no one, like, hated each other like that. Like, people intermingled, even if, like, obviously you had your seat that you sat at during lunch, but, like, no one was like that. But the girls were like that in my grammar school, which, if you think about it, was a lot worse because high school is only 4 years. These bitches were like that from, like, 3rd grade to 8th grade, I went to Catholic school, so grammar school, there is no middle school, this school, that school. It's if you go to school from, like, kindergarten to 8th grade, you're literally with the same people for, like, 8 years, So freaking we had those girls like that. And you're right, Regina King is like the manifestation of all of that. Like, the type of mean girls who want to make you feel like shit because your hair is parted the wrong way, or making up silly rumors, to take someone down. And I realized, like, and I know this isn't about Regina, right? But it's what Regina represents to me, because I was, and this is going to be personal, right? And I know it has nothing to do with Regina. I just want to say it really quick. Because I think they also touched upon that in Mean Girls, is that I came into the school in 3rd grade because I had gone to a previous school from kindergarten to 2nd grade. So being in 3rd grade, even though I was there from 3rd grade to 8th grade, I was never really not the new girl, right? You always felt like the new girl because a lot of these girls were there from kindergarten to 8th grade. and there was a clique of them. They were all so mean. They were so bad. They just got worse as the years went on. But and for a while I was like, why can't I be popular? Like what, you know, like all that crying stuff. But I realized how depressing their lives were, because I remember I was in the bathroom one time, and I'll use fake names for this, but say Sally and Joan were in the bathroom, and Sally and Joan were talking shit about Kim, right? And then Joan leaves, and Sally's still in the bathroom, and Kim comes in, and next thing you know, they're talking shit about Joan. And I was like, none of these people are really friends with each other. They don't even like each other. They just want to be mean together. And that's kind of like really diffused them. I think like took away their power for me. So I feel like that's how it was with like Regina and them. Because isn't there at some point in the movie where like her power is kind of taken away from her?
From the main character or from Regina?
From Regina. Like, isn't there something where she... Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The main character ends up, but I can't remember her name right now, Lindsay Lohan's character, ends up becoming the top bitch and shoving Regina out of power. So think of it as like the beta or the omega taking over the alpha spot. And so the alpha, like I don't remember if she just gets completely shoved out or, they tell her, you can't sit with us. That's the thing.
You can't sit with us anymore.
yeah, because remember that one girl, the one, like, whose dad made, like, the toaster strudel or something, or, like, I mean, like, a whole thing to that. I can't remember what her dad invented, but they're, like, rich from it. The one that's, like, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's never going to happen, that girl. Because that's why I said it like this. She's like, and she said, you can't sit with us, because she ends up, like, just, like, blurting.
Oh my god, isn't Regina's mom the one played by Amy Poehler, who's, like, so involved with her daughter's life?
Yes, the one that's, like, wants to dress up with them, like, I'm having, like, flashbacks to, like, beauty pageants, which oh my gosh, which reminds me, somebody on stream one time was like, you have any interesting stories about beauty pageant? I'm like, I remember the time a mom pulled her kid's arm out of socket because of, like, like, that makes me think back to that. To be fair, yes, the mom shouldn't have been holding the girl's, like, wrist so tight because the girl was, like, very upset, but the girl, like, threw her entire body weight down, like, because she was throwing a tantrum, and, like, pulled her arm out of socket when she threw her body down. It was a bad situation all around. Yeah.
I mean, you know how I feel about beauty pageants in general, but I will reserve my opinion and keep it to myself. But, yeah, Regina was terrible. Oh, God. I feel like not even the worst person that I ever dealt with was as bad as her. Like, because didn't, like, Tina Fey, like, one of the teachers feel, like, victimized by her? 'Cause she was that much of a little shit.
Yeah, poor Tina Fey.
I hated Regina. Yeah, she was terrible. I remember watching Mean Girls, and I had seen it, like, way after the fad kind of, like, came and went, because one of my friends was like, oh my god, you've never seen Mean Girls? Sit your ass down right now. And I was like, alright. Well, it's like what I do to you. It's what I do to you, and you're like, I haven't seen this, and I'm like, oh my god.
You're like, joke's on you, you're watching it right now.
Nah. It's like, you watch Parks and Recs, or at least, like, a little bit of it or something?
Yeah.
It's the one where Leslie Knope is talking to her friend, what is her name, Anne or something, or Karen, and Anne, or I think it's Karen, I forget now, or Anne, whatever her name is. It's like, I don't even like Harry Potter, and Leslie's like, you've never watched she's like, what do you mean you don't like Harry Potter? You've seen every movie, and she's like, because you made me watch every movie. But yeah, I very much disliked Regina. She's you know, and listen, it's something that I've learned. If there's any youngins listening to this podcast, which I'm sorry if I cursed 1,000 times, but if there's one thing that I learned as getting older, all those people who seemed like they were so popular in high school, they peaked in high school. They're now losers who are probably like, I won't say, but because I have opinions, but they're probably in a very bad place right now. So don't even worry about them because their best years were high school being the absolute bitch to everyone. And I feel like that's how it was with Regina.
That's like what gets me is like looking back, like, you know, even though with working at Walmart right now while going to college, right? What gets me sometimes is I'll take out groceries and it'll be to somebody that was like a mean, popular kid to school, and they almost give me that look, like they look down on me, and I'm like, dude, you look like you've been on drugs for like since before high school. Like, you look like you've had a very rough life. Please don't look down on me for still going to college. Like, at this point, you just look a little rough, buddy.
I've seen since my years in grammar school, all the girls who are mean, either it's they're in a bad place right now, you know, like, again, look like they're on drugs or are, you know, didn't get an education or didn't, you know, whatever, like, didn't go anywhere in their life, right? Either that, got, like, knocked up at the age of, like, frickin' 18 or something, or they're, like, all like, oh, look at my beautiful life, you know, blah, 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 like all warm. I do charities and everything. And I'm like, yeah, but you were such a bitch back in like grammar school and like you're trying to act as if you're a saint or something.
Now, I've seen your true colors, bitch.
I want to say really quick, I know this has nothing to do with the podcast and it's like, this is again, real. But I don't care. We talk. That's where you come to the top 10, not to just get the top 10, but to also get life stories. But a few years ago, one of the girls who used to bully me wanted me to go to our grammar school reunion. And I was like ignoring her, right? And then all of a sudden she reached out to my mom on Facebook and was like, hi, Mrs., you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, I've been trying to get a hold of Tia. We're, you know, having a reunion. You know, we'd love for her to come. And Mom was like, you made my daughter's life living hell there. Why the fuck would she want to come to your dumbass reunion? And I remember...
Say that?
Yes, she did.
God, yes.
And you know what the thing is that I knew where they were having the reunion. It was at this bar, and I wasn't going to go, right? And I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and I was like, technically, my grammar school reunion's happening right now. I'm kind of interested in knowing what everyone looks like, even though we have Facebook, so you relatively know what everyone is doing in their life. And I tried to go, but there was literally no parking in front of the bar, and I was like, this is a sign from God to just go somewhere else and hang out with your friend and not even deal with these negative people who didn't do anything for your life. And I was like, thank you.
Saying when your mom was like, you made my daughter's life.
I have no idea. I didn't care. That's not me being hateful. I don't carry that at all in my life, but it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend like everything's good now. We're all friendly and hunky-dory. I don't care if you changed in your life. Like, I have my new life. I don't need that. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's such a tone deafness that I think that people like that in school don't realize, you know, and maybe it's this whole being in school perpetuates that type of behavior. I don't know what it is, but it's a thing where you have people like that, and you know what, if you're the person who's on the bullying end of it, like the receiving end, you just got to realize that, again, their best years are right now.
You know, I was having that conversation with Aaron the other day, why it seems like, I think it's because in high school, if somebody peaks in at like the top and they're like, yeah, I'm the best. But then guess what? You went to college where all the popular kids of those like colleges or schools all came together. And now you're not the special one anymore. You're just another cog in the machine.
You're just another cog in the machine. It's like literally no one cares that you were the popular person in your high school. Now you're in college and no one gives a shit, you know? But that's the thing is, it's funny because, I mean, some people still to this day act like they're in high school. And I'm just like, you're an adult. Please grow up and be past this right now. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's like all those people who peaked in high school and like are all losers now. I hate to say that. You know, I hate to say that and make it seem like I'm looking down on anyone, but it's like you see like how they presented themselves. You know, they were always wearing the best fashion just because, you know, if your hair was frizzy and you had glasses and maybe you have acne and maybe you were a little on the heavier side, you know, you weren't worth shit. But it's like, hello, now you look like you're missing teeth and you had a fucking kid at the age of 17 and, you know, you didn't go anywhere in your life. Like, good for you. Yeah, I'm glad that you made people feel like shit because they parted their hair the wrong way back in the day.
Did they do that to you?
No, I remember though there was this one, I'm using it as an example, but there was one time that so I had a friend of mine who at some point during 7th and 8th grade tried to be part of the popular girls, and I would say to her, like, why? Like, why are you trying to be like one of them? You're never going to be like one of them, and why would you want to be like one of them? But she did. She tried for a hot second. And there was one day where all the girls decided that they were going to wear their hair in a side ponytail, and she didn't that day, and they fucking ridiculed her mercilessly that whole entire day because she decided not to come to school with her hair in a side ponytail.
Oh my
That's
god.
how
I heard you mention it before and I was like, did this happen to Tia? Do I need to,
no.
do I need to like come and like comfort you?
No, if there's one thing that I will say is that I was one of those type of people that never liked to conform. I turned into the goth and punk kid, like literally in 6th grade, right? So because I had a friend who she was punk and goth, and I was like, I'm going to be one of you because you literally don't care, you know? So I decided very early on that I wasn't going to try and conform to anyone or get part of a trend or a fad. That's why I've never cared about what the trend is in fashion because I'm like, I don't give a shit. You know, that's what all those girls tried to do, you know? So I decided very early on that I wasn't going to try to get them to like me. I didn't care if they liked me or not. Granted, did it hurt my feelings that I got bullied? Absolutely. But I was like, I don't care. You guys need to be nicer. I'm not going to try to change myself because you end up looking stupid.
No.
So I know that was a very serious thing, but you brought it up with Regina, and it just makes me think of all these things. And you know what, Brittany? We have a responsibility to the listeners to talk them through tough times.
I wish I could take a picture of Toby being absolutely.
I'm sorry, you're going in and out of your thing. You sound very far away.
Well, that's weird.
Now
Wait,
I can hear
me?
you. I can hear you now. But
It's in and out. I'll literally not be moving, and it's just like, you know what? I don't want to hear you no more.
I don't want to do it. I think that Regina King's a fantastic actress. Regina George is probably one of the worst because of what she represents. So great job with the number 2. We are down to the number 1 of our top 10 most hated characters in TV and movies. Let's go through the list before we get to number 1, and I definitely want us to kind of name off our honorable mentions before we get to it. So number 10 is Bella. Number 9 is Iron Fist. Number 8 is Andrea Harris. Number 7 is Pornstache. Number 6 is Teabag. Number 5 is Pablo Escobar's mother. Number 4 is Calvin Candy. Number 3 is Perry Wright. Number 2 is Regina George. Before I get to my number 1, I've seen those like list things where they actually do the honorable mentions beforehand. Would you like to name off quickly your honorable mentions before I get to the number 1?
Yeah. I had The Mountain.
Oh, God, yes.
Because he's pretty horrific. I'm afraid of saying, like, your number 1. Can you give me a hint of what your number 1 is?
The first name starts with a J.
Is it from a
It's from a
show?
Game of Thrones.
Okay. Then I won't say it 'cause I almost did. I'm trying to think of who else I hated in things. Oh, people hate what's her face from oh, what's that show that you like that involves the guy Chase? Oh, Veronica Mars.
Oh yeah, she was awful. I hated her.
Yeah,
Blech.
I was trying to think of anybody else. I think that's all I got for you.
That's all you got for me? Okay, so freaking, what am I doing? So my honorable mentions really quick are Cersei from Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
awful.
She's fucking awful. Takeshi's sister from Alter Carbon. Piper from Orange is the New Black, because
That's a good one too.
I'm now rewatching Orange is the New Black, and I'm like, I can't stand you already, and there were 7 seasons of you. And one last honorable mention, you've never seen the movie, which you should, it's actually very good, but the character BB from Ford versus Ferrari was an absolute prick. But let's get to the number one, and my number one is probably one of the most hated characters in any sort of fiction. We couldn't wait till he died, even though I think we could all admit that he probably deserved a much harsher death than he actually got. But regardless of that, he was finally killed, which was a glorious moment, and it is Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Is that who you were going to say, Brittany?
Yes,
Okay.
I almost said it. I almost
Oh,
said
Joffrey was the worst. Any Game of Thrones fan was like, I can't wait till this little shit gets killed. Oh God. Like first of all, like Cersei's terrible, right? But Cersei, I couldn't really put on this because even though she was hated, she was one of those characters that you love to hate because she was so good at being such a bitch, right? But it's like sometimes you had to like applaud like her strategy because she was so smart, right? So it's like I couldn't like put her on the list, but Joffrey is Cersei's child, and he takes the throne after Robert Baratheon dies, which you find out Robert Baratheon's not any of Cersei's children. It's Jaime, Cersei's twin brother. But so Joffrey's already like the product of incest. He is a dick. All right. He's a dick from day one, even though he's pretty much a kid, right? But he's a dick to Sansa, who is supposed to be his bride. And he literally like has her dire wolf killed. He like, tells her all these like terrible things, like how he's going to have her sister killed. He's just a prick. And then when Robert Baratheon dies and he becomes king, there's at some point where Ned Stark, who's Sansa's father, gets deemed a traitor because he was trying to, reveal Cersei, having incest, whatever. And even at some point, Cersei says to Joffrey that, even though I hate Ned Stark, killing Ned Stark will not be well for the kingdoms. I think you should let him go, even though Cersei, has definitely killed her fair share of people throughout the series.
yeah.
So
Do.
she wasn't doing it for any like sort of sympathy. She was doing it because she was thinking about the repercussions. And Joffrey's like, nope, off with his head. And again, he's still set to marry Sansa, and he shows her her father's decapitated head, shows her her maid's decapitated head, says that he's going to kill her brother Rob and show her his decapitated head. I mean, he is an awful human being. He's the same thing like Candy, right? He pins people against each other so he can watch them kill each other for sport. He constantly is berating the Hound. He's always insulting Tyrion. He insults Jaime at some point. He insults everyone. He is such a dick. He is such a fucking prick. And he pretty much treats Sansa like shit. He says at some point, my mother told me that, a man should never hit his wife to be, and literally has one of his armed guards slap the shit out of Sansa. He almost has her like, naked in front of everyone at some point to berate and little her. Like, he literally says that, like, he's going to bring Sansa, you know, the decapitated head of her brother as, like, a wedding gift, you know? And then even forces her to stay after he decides to not marry Sansa and marry, I forgot the other woman's name. But anyway, he's a prick, right? That's all you need to know. Joffrey is, like, the worst little shit.
Cersei, like, didn't she even was like, okay, this is a little much?
She tries to say that to Joffrey, and he, like, belittles her as his mother. He's like, listen, woman, you know? Pull some shit like that. I have to say, the two best scenes ever. Oh, and then he, like, he's the one who forces Tyrion to marry Sansa, and he insists at first to watch them have sex so that he could revel in the embarrassment of it, you know? Such a dick, right? The only person... He's sick. The only person who, like, realistically puts Joffrey in his place is his grandfather, Tywin. But really quick before I pass it to you, the two best scenes, in my opinion, are during the Battle of Blackwater when the Hound tells Joffrey to go fuck himself. I love that so much. And then finally when Joffrey dies, and it's at his wedding, and the greatest thing is finding out who really killed him, because it was, his new bride-to-be, forget her name now, but she was great, played by Natalie Dormer, who's actually the lead or one of the leads in Penny Dreadful City of Angels. Anyway, her grandmother couldn't stand the fact that her granddaughter was going to be married to this absolute monster and poisoned his drink. So literally at Joffrey's own wedding, he goes to take a sip and literally chokes to death. The best. The best. So anyway,
that's so good.
I'm sorry. I had to go off because he's just such a terrible fucking character. But Brittany, what are your thoughts on Joffrey since he was in your honorable mentions?
I just think it's like, even as someone that didn't get into Game of Thrones until later, I had heard tales of Joffrey. I was like, geez, how bad could he be? And then I remember I was watching parts of season 1, and before, you know, I like, couldn't handle the sadness of it. And I remember, like, you know, the part where he tries to, like, you know, attack Arya, like, nearly, like, almost, like, straight up tries to kill her, right? Because didn't she do something, and that's when the wolf attacked, and he you know, it's like this switch between being, oh, I'm gonna be king, blah, blah, so and then being, like, crying to his mother, you know, running off so upset. You know, it's so, like, silly, you know, and ends up killing that one boy. Why did they kill the boy again?
Because the butcher boy accidentally, oh god, no, he didn't even do anything. It was just Joffrey, so the butcher's boy and Arya were practicing sword fighting, and, you know, Joffrey's like, what kind of shit is this, you know, a girl, you know, doing this, you know, oh, come on, boy, you know, fight me then, you know, and I think, like, there was something there that was such an accident, you know, like, they were playing with, like, what... But they were playing with, like, wooden swords, you know, nothing was... So you had him kill... He was such a spoiled brat. The epitome of a spoiled brat.
Oh, no, he was awful. And just thinking back, like, to all the scenes, to the point where even the Hound, who swore, like, a very, like, an oath, you know... Actually, I don't know if he ever did the oath, but, you know, it's very, like, loyal, because he was the dog. Even he was done. Like, fuck the king, as he said.
I love that, because they were literally in the middle of battle, and Tyrion was like, what are you doing? Get back there, fight for your king. And he was like, fuck the king, fuck this. He was like, I'm out.
He was, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, Joffrey definitely lasted way too long. I think he lasted up to season 4 when he was killed. And I was like, oh, God. It's so bad. Game of Thrones had Joffrey, right? Who was awful. And then they had Ramsay, and he was awful. But I liked Ramsay more, even though he was a despicable person. Just the way he played it was like more enjoyable to watch. I just thought he was such a good villain. Joffrey, I just couldn't wait for him to die. Like obviously he was, he was such a despicable character, but I was like, I can't wait for this guy to be gone.
Like, I was just done with them. I don't, it's like he added only to the story to make you feel uncomfortable and hate him.
Yeah, and it's like, you never thought to yourself, like, how much you wanted to hate a kid. You're like, I want this kid to die. And I feel like Cersei mourned his death, but I feel like Jaime literally didn't give a fuck because he literally fucked Cersei like right near like Joffrey's dead body. He's just like, fuck this
That
kid.
was pretty messed up. That was a little more than that was a little extreme.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, definitely points can be made for that not being consensual that moment, but yeah. Joffrey was definitely the worst of the children, and he probably, I think his death was probably better than the other children's death, so I don't know what that says about it.
Right. They were just like, you know what? It's got to be pretty horrific.
Yeah, but Joffrey definitely to me is the most hated character. Anyone who is a fan of Game of Thrones will probably tell you, like, I don't think there's anyone out there who's a Game of Thrones fan who goes, you know what character I really like? Joffrey. And I think if they do say that, there's probably something a little wrong.
Or they're trolling.
Or they're trolling. Exactly. So, Brittany, I think we did an amazing job with this list. We got a lot of venting out. We were bitchy in just the best of ways. So I think we did a pretty good job, wouldn't you say?
I do too. I think that was really good. I feel like we got plenty of venting and salt out. I feel I feel hydrated from lack of salt that is out of my blood right now.
Yes, exactly. With so much salt, we can make margaritas.
Oh God, I want a margarita now. Thanks, Tia.
But Brittany, before I let you go, why don't you take a moment to let everyone know where they can find you, what's going on?
Gonna say you can find me on Twitch on Itty Bitty Brit's channel, and that's where I've been playing. I've been playing The Last of Us right now, which is basically like The Walking Dead, except these zombies are made from spores, kind of like a fungal. I want to say like a fungal infection, but basically that turning them into zombies, and about a man trying to take care of a little girl and his sad past along with it. And yeah, it's been a great run. We hit 1,000 followers. It's been a really fun ride. You know, it's just awesome the amount of traction it's had lately. And you can find me on Twitter at ittybitty_Brit0. And that way you can see if I'm doing any schedule changes. I ordered some elf ears because I wanted to do some fairy elf makeup looks and some photos with them. So yeah, there's going to be that, so I could possibly do a cosplay as Zelda later on, and I'm excited.
That does sound exciting. So everyone, please make sure that you check out Brittany's stuff. She does update everyone on Twitter what her schedule will be like, so make sure you check that out. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Tia Fabi. I tweet a lot, I write a lot, so you can definitely check all that stuff out. And check us out at geek5snation.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Vero, Facebook, YouTube, anything and everything in between. So, everyone, please let us know what characters from TV and movies that you really hated. And yes, we're using the word hate, because that's how we feel about it. I saw this thing where it was like, let's not use hate, let's use dislike. And I'm like, no. Hate. I want to know. What characters do you hate? But yeah, everyone, thank you. And Brittany, thank you. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Have a great day, guys. Bye.